Hey, hey, yes, I'm talking to you. And I'm also talking to me as well. I might have just listened to the best 15 to 20-second snippet um, of my entire day. So I'm going to invite you for listen to them too. Ready? Here we go. I know there'll never be a time you'll ever feel the same. And I know it's only words, but if you change your mind, you know that I'll be here. And maybe we both can learn. Sing it, Vision Movement. Give me just one more night. Give me just one more night. One more night. 'Cause I can't wait forever. Give me just one more night. Give me just one more night. One more night. 'Cause I can't wait forever. And ain't that just the truth? Yeah, that I often leave just one hair shy of receiving the phone call, of receiving the text message. In some parts of the many circles that I visit, yeah, we tell each other, don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle. And how often have I sold myself short? Have I sold myself short of not just of what I deserve, uh, but the receipts of what I've worked so hard for? And what a great snippet and an amazing song, um, just to kind of sit and think about. You know that if I just give myself one more night, one more breath, one more step, one more cry for help, turn the volume up just a little bit more. Yep, yep, just a little bit more. Turn them up for that person who is sitting in the other room, right? The one that you know is dying inside. And you know what? Let's just be real about it, right? Maybe it's just me that is screaming and dying inside. Maybe it's you that is also screaming and dying inside. So here we are, yet again, another night, another mic. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to the Vision Inside, episode 13, where there is no filters, no cue cards, no glam lights, no backdrop, no cameras. Just some chick on the other side of this mic who is using what was once such a huge liability and a weapon of mass destruction in my life, uh, that has been turned, yeah, to do something good in this world. Yeah, just a little bit of positivity, right? And if I don't see the change, then perhaps I should be the change. And again, like I'm still learning. Yeah, I am still learning about this thing called plosives, which is the P's and the B's. And so I'm trying to sit a little bit more further back from the mic. I'm sorry if I've blown your eardrum a little bit in the past few episodes. Uh, but as you're learning, I am learning too. Yeah, and it's such an amazing place and space to essentially learn on the fly, right? Like this is I have no manual. I get inspired and I write stuff down throughout the day, and I didn't want to go to bed tonight without sharing that inspiration with you. You know, and sometimes like people ask me like where do you get these wild downloads from? And I just don't get them, right? Like it's not like I go to the little candy machine that takes the quarter, right, and you turn the thing and the thing pops out in the little plastic container. It doesn't work that way for me. I what I do is I invest. Yeah, I invest my time, my attention, my effort into that conscious contact. and that relationship with the power greater than myself, with the relationship with God. And and again, I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to be about it. I have been pulled out from under, and I can't share it enough times. I can't cut that pie enough times to sit here and let you know that I am here by the sheer grace of God. Because of myself, I should have been dead. I should have not made that last turn going into Poipu. I should have ended up in the pasture and or wrapped my car around the tree. And I haven't said it in a minute, right? But I was definitely gifted a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance and a fifth chance and a sixth chance at this thing called life. And I woke up with a beating heart today, and lungs that breathe today, and eyes that see today, and feet that can walk today. And truth be told, yeah, vision movement. Truth be told, that there are people in this world, there are people possibly in your home, people next door who cannot see. They don't have use of their hands or feet. And sometimes, like, I sit here all entitled, right? Like I'm not getting what I deserve, or what I have is just not enough. Now, I share a little brutal truth with you. If I'm not grateful for the things that I have, they become the things that I had. Yeah, they become past tense if I don't nurture and cultivate the things and the relationships in my life. Um, Interesting way to open up a cast tonight. If you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome. My name is Delory Gomes, and this is The Vision Inside, episode 13, where some small town chick from Kauai ran her life into the ground, essentially, through the life of alcoholism and drug addiction. And again, by the grace of God, by the grace of a loving God, have I received many, many, many blessings and accomplishments in my life. Um, that, yes, because I put the stuff down, um, but more so that I've chosen to build and cultivate relationships. And I don't know about you guys, but relationships is currency. Yeah, like it is how I exchange intimacy with you. Is the depth of the relationship that I have with people, and it's very much the same with the relationship that I have with God. And so I spend time in cultivating and nurturing that relationship. Most of the time, every morning, before I get into the hustle and bustle of my day, and mom life, and then work life, and then mom life, and somewhere in between all of that, making sure that I make time for self too. So I had a thought, right? And I have many, many thoughts. Um, I was thinking about the labels. Yeah, like the many, many labels that I have, and the many labels that you probably have too. And off the top of my head, I'm just gonna name them, right? No, in no special specific, no special order or any specific reason. Um, I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an employee. I'm a supervisor. I'm a body surfing world champ. I'm a pro athlete. I'm sponsored. I sponsor. And I'm a child of God. Yeah, I'm chosen. Um, I'm adequate today. I'm capable. I'm also explosive. I'm also implosive. And I can increase I can increase that list. I sit here with every breath that I take, and a new thought comes into my mind. And I found myself thinking about, like, what if I took all of those labels away? What if you took all of those labels away? And I'm left. uh, I'm left with that really, really simple question of who am I? Who am I? And again, the whole precedence of this podcast being planted on my heart, and ultimately hitting the record button and then publishing the previous 12 episodes is to help somebody, right? Like, I'm not here for me. I don't sit here in the middle of the night, vulnerable, tired, my voice is cracking for me. There was inspiration and vision that was placed on my life and on my heart. And again, this is the quiet time of night, right? Like, I live right across the street from the pickleball courts. My kids are sleeping, and I'm outside. The stars are out. It is very, very cool night out here, and to be quite honest, it's quite serene, and I find great solace and serenity in sitting here and just really talking story with everybody, and sharing my life, from a super, super vulnerable place where I am absolutely subjected to be judged and criticized. And I'm willing, yeah, I'm willing to sit here and, uh, y- you know, maybe I'll be judged and criticized, to my face. And for the most part, I probably won't. Like this, my hopes is that this podcast one day will reach somebody, not just across the pond on the United States continent. Like, I would hope that this podcast would reach so many more other people, in this world, that you can absolutely take, from my life's experience and apply it in your life, and be the change, right? Like, be the positive, be that person who says yes, you can. Be that person who says, I can help you with that. Be that person who says, I've actually had that experience, and I've crashed my head against the wall so many times, just as you have. Let's try something different, right? Let's try a different spaghetti noodle to the problem that you're having. And so you sit here and thinking about labels, and who would I be without that title of mother and wife and employee and sister? Um, what would I be left with? And the last thing that I ever want to be is an empty shell of a human just zombieing out on this world. Yeah, that's the last thing that I want to be. However, but God, however, all of the things in my life, um, the many, many gifts that I have, wouldn't matter, right? Like, if I have no purpose and I'm walking around as a shell of a human, none of these things that I have would matter anyway. So if I think, if I think for one hot second that my life was meant to be centered, centered around a career, a label, a job title, a global platform, attributes, accomplishments, failures, successes, demises, downfalls, uprisings. If I thought that I was just put on this earth for just those things, I would sell myself short every single day. Every single day. Inside of me, just as it is inside of you, whether you believe it or not, whether someone told you that there wasn't, I'm here to tell you that there are seeds, there are skills inside of you that are just waiting. They're waiting to be cultivated and nurtured and planted and bloomed and grown and given. There are seeds and skills inside of you. And so here's the problem, right? I have a problem. I have many, many problems. And after a careful course of inventory, the problem is never you. The problem is always me. I have this problem. I have many, many problems. There came a point in my life right? And my as far as my memory can serve me, probably around like 4 or 5 years old, um, I started to think that I could manage and control my life, right? I started to say no. I started to do things on my own, and it might be, I don't know. It might be at that point in time too, where I stopped believing, and perhaps I didn't know that I was believing in something. Maybe I just didn't know. Period. That I was a child of God, and again, like I'm not some preachy teachy. Okay, like I'm not some religious person coming from any kind of pulpit or high top. I have just come to this place in my life where I refuse to believe um, that I came from an animal, and that's a huge thing for me to say out loud, you guys, because hmm, that's a whole nother story for another night. Um, usually, I think I don't know, maybe around 4 or 5 years old. Um, Again, I started thinking that I could manage and control my life, and I stopped believing. And the very first God of my understanding, the very first God of my misunderstanding, the only guidance, knowledge, pathway figure that I knew was my mom. And I highly believe and suspect that she too didn't know that she couldn't see. Yeah, she didn't know that she couldn't know. And that she was also trying to fix her broken will and her broken life with her broken will and her broken life. So it makes perfect sense that that's all that she could transfer to me. And so the decades of my life go by and I stop believing. I stop believing that I'm an amazing sister. And I stop believing that I could be an amazing employee. And there's no way I'm gonna get a promotion, by the way. There's no way that anyone's gonna believe in me. Uh I don't deserve to be anyone's mother. Because what was transferred onto me, I slowly started to transfer onto my kids too. Let alone, let's run it back to just not just kind of one of the biggest accolades, accomplishments that I've been able to do thus far in my life, which was to fly to Australia and come home with the women's world body surfing title. Um, One of my biggest successes, material successes thus far in my life, and I I just don't understand sometimes, and I'm not meant to understand, right? I know and understand that I'm just not that powerful to understand that my finite mind is very, very inadequate of understanding what the universe or what God is doing in my life. And so going back to the labels, right? And I tarnish, I diminish my own character. I I believe lies that were told to me, and so I stopped believing in myself. And perhaps you started, or maybe you have already gotten to the point where, wow, D, like I don't believe in myself either. And I don't believe in myself because I don't know who I am. And like I started this journey. I've started many, many journeys, you guys. Like I started this journey um of doing my best to be dependent on a to be dependent on God. And I still hesitate talking about that because yes, there's always the fear of being judged. Always the fear of being judged. Um Being an independent woman depending on God. And an amazing human shared that with me all the way back in 2001. And I had just gotten out of rehab, and that's one of the greatest things that she said to me. You know that her goal in life is to become an independent woman depending on God. And it's been a definite long and arduous journey into finding that. And I'm not Paul yet. Yeah, I'm not done trying and doing and succeeding and failing at doing just that. Being an independent woman, depending on God. Um, and so, like, how does that journey even start, right? And I remember all of those labels, all of those labels, and it might sound like I'm all over the place tonight, and I probably am, and that's okay too, right? There's never any rhyme or reason, just inspiration. So the title of mother, yeah, the title of mother, and how my pride was struck, and my pride was struck, and my pride was struck. I would wonder why um my kids would stand by that screen door that I'm looking at, and they would look at me, but they wouldn't come outside. Yeah, I would come home, and they would essentially scatter, and taking a look at why, and realizing that the problem is me, that there are behaviors and mannerisms inside of me that need to be changed. And you know what's cool, yeah, is that the whole thing about God bending time, right? I talked about that a few episodes ago, where if I sit and I take that hard look at self, really, really hard look at self, preferably with another human being, um, who is willing to sit there with me and not judge or criticize, but just sit. Like, I really believe that I need I need at least one or two friends. I definitely need one friend to just sit and sometimes co-sign my bullshit, and eventually tell me, I like, just get up out of the mud, let's go. Yeah, we need to do something about whatever something you're sitting in. And at that time, that something was wondering why my kids didn't want to be around me. And it was because I was so abrasive. I was unapproachable. I was demanding. I was fear mongering. And I don't know about you guys, uh, but as a parent, as a working parent, I was led to believe, right, that providing for my children financially was enough. I thought that was enough. And if I take myself back to the 5-year old, all I ever wanted from my mom and dad was to be loved, cared for, and nurtured on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, not a not just a material level and a physical level. Like, I had no idea that I had no idea that what I really wanted inside was relationship. I wanted that currency of intimacy. I wanted that. And uh you know, again, by the grace of God, I didn't destroy that completely. I had ran it to the ground pretty bad. But I was also gifted the opportunity to look inside. Yeah, because here's the tagline. Yeah, the only way out is the way in. The only way out is the way in. And if I sit and I just give myself a chance, if you sit and you just give yourself one more night, just one more night, sit in the pain, sit in the tension, sit in the uncomfortability, sit in the skin crawl. Yeah, sit in it one more night. Because, I'm going to hit you with some hard truth, right? I'm going to hit you with some brutal truth. I'm the problem. You are the problem. And what's even more amazing is that you can also be the solution, right? You are not the one that brings about the solution, but you can be a part of the solution. And part of the solution is, yep, you guessed it. I said it 50 million times in the last 2 minutes. It's taking a hard look at self. And after taking a hard look at self about what I believe about being a mom and what I believe about parenting, I was able to see that I was parenting on expectation. And that's nasty, you guys. You ever realize that you were living life on expectation? Like, I expect you to act a certain way. I I expected my children from my human eyes to be perfect. And ultimately, right? Ultimately, that's exactly what God gave me. My children are perfect, and yours are too. Hey, yeah, for everybody in the back of the room, my children are perfect, and so are yours, and so are you, and so am I. We are all perfect in our imperfection, right? Like, I am I bid on that principle that God the Son, yeah, Jesus. Amazing brother, by the way. Uh Jesus didn't come here to save me from being human. He came here to save me from sin. And so I'm not denied the human experience, right? I'm not denied the emotions and the feelings of being a human. I'm also not denied of acting out on those human emotions and feelings. So, and I'm not gonna apologize if that was too preachy teachy for you. It was too preachy teachy for you. Just discard. Yeah, put it on the shelf or throw it in the trash. Do whatever you need to do with that. Um, so I got to work on that for a little while as a mom, and what came next in my life was the title of wife. And oh man, I don't know, you guys. Like, we've we've been married now for over a decade, and when the stark raving reality of what my marriage was and how ungrateful and how entitled I was, uh, I honestly thought that it just wasn't going to work out. And it wasn't going to work out because he wasn't trying. It wasn't going to work out because I didn't want to try anymore. I was done trying. And I also found in that inventory too was that I was living yet again in a world of expectation and delusion. Um, and and here's a nasty one, and mind reading. You ever expect your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whoever, fill in the blank. You ever expect the other person on the other side of that relationship to read your mind? Like, you should know already. You should know. Get dishes in the sink, wash them. Like, no, you guys. It's not always like that. Yeah, it's not always like that. That just because the trash can is full, it doesn't mean that you're going to take it out. It's not implied that you're going to take it out. And then I get all entitled, right? Like, why I got to do everything. Why I got to do everything. I work 40 hours a week too. You know, why, blah, blah, blah. Me, I. Entitled. Narcissist. Blame without me is a whole lot of blah, blah, blah. And I just want to blast my blame thrower all over the place. You know, and I become I become entitled and I'm ungrateful. And who would have thought, yeah? And I'll say it again. If I'm not grateful for the things that I have, they become the things that I had. And I had to decide. Yeah, I had to decide. This was I think latter part of 2020 or 2021. I had to decide. I had to decide if I wanted to be married. And you know, someday my amazing husband is going to listen to episode 13. And yes, I'm talking about us. And it's okay, right? Like, he has a story as well. And one of these days, yeah, one of these days, husband will be on this podcast and we'll be able to speak freely um, about what he wants to talk about. This is my journey and my story. And I'll share my journey and my story. So I had placed so much expectation and delusion on this man that again I came to that point where I had to decide if I wanted to be married. And And the answer was yes. I wanted to be married, not because we had kids or we had already purchased a home and there was money in the bank. Not for that. I wanted to be married because deep down inside of me, I love him. He is the man of my dreams. He is everything that I never could dream of. And I had to decide that every day for a long time, even till today. Do I want to be married today? Absolutely. Asked me that 4 years ago. Do I want to be married today? I don't know. I really don't know. Is it worth it? Yeah. Is it worth it? And so, again, I come back to the stark raving reality. The stark raving reality that guess who's the problem? I am the problem. Like, what do I believe about myself in relation to being a wife? I have no experience. Yeah. I have no experience to base anything off of. All I have is what I know growing up and the experience of my parents. And I've shared it quite a bit. Yeah. Like my mom uh, suffered from chemical imbalance. Um, my dad was quite the heavy drinker, and they were the model marriage for me. And I'm not saying that it was bad, and I'm not saying that it was good. It was the model marriage that I had. And so I sat there and I got to figure out what expectations I was placing on him, what delusional mind games I was playing with him, and a big one, a really really big one, uh, that I engage in. And again, we've talked about this, right? Is that game of this is what you said, and this is what I heard. And sometimes, you guys, sometimes he wouldn't even say anything. He would refuse to engage with me, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that 7 times out of 10 he chose not to get sucked in, right? Sucked into the victim vacuum. He chose not to. And when when silence was chosen, oh my gosh, the horrible things that I heard, right? This is what you didn't say, but I heard them anyway. You're stupid. You're a shitty parent. You're a horrible wife. You don't even pay attention. When was the last time you paid attention? You don't even listen to me. You suck. You suck. You suck. And one, it was the process of unbecoming. Yeah. Unbecoming that inadequate person. And then it was the process of falling in love with my husband all over again. Because I chose that. And I choose that today. I choose that every day. That he is my guy diamond. Yeah. He is the local boy from Waianae with no tattoos and no priors and no previous children. His track record is one divorce. Um, I have been so blessed, so blessed, to have him in my life, and that he continues to choose me as well. And I love you, husband. I choose you. I choose us. And for what it's worth, yeah, um, that journey uh, has taken, and it is current. Yeah, that journey has taken the last 4 years of my life, and it is still current today. I don't struggle with marriage per se. I struggle with the limitations in my mind. I struggle with the thoughts in my mind. I struggle with this is what you didn't say, and this is what I heard. I promise I heard them. I know you said them, but you didn't. And gosh, there's so many labels, so many titles that I hold and that you hold. Yeah, the other one I wanted to talk about, and there are so many, right? But so it's mom life, wife life and the work life. Yeah, the work life. Um, I remember when my boss had stepped out for medical leave, and I was placed in um that interim branch chief position, not knowing anything about what I was supposed to do, feeling absolutely inadequate at my job. And and I remember one day I got this phone call, and this was a huge blow to my pride. Um, I remember one day receiving this phone call. Actually, um, I had to run that back a minute. I didn't receive a phone call. I received an email, and at that time, this person was I was her boss. Just a few months prior, I was her equal, and I, from what I believe and what was actually written and sent, this person would just constantly gaslight me, gaslight after gaslight after gaslight. And if you're not familiar with gaslighting, it's setting you up for failure by lying. Yeah, with no proof. And I had just been receiving emails, and I was already doing my best to live in the principle of taking the high road. Yeah, like we talked about that in a previous podcast too. Know what principle I'm operating from. Always take the high road and give generously. And it's still a really big part of who I choose to be today too. So after getting so much emails and consulting the God Squad and what should I do, restraint, yeah, restraint of thumb and send is one of the greatest and most underrated tools a human can have. Restraint of thumb and send. Sometimes it's restraint of tongue and pen. Now, don't write the letter. Keep my mouth shut. Delete, delete, delete. Or, or send the email to 3 different people, not the one that I'm originally intending to send it to. 3 people in the God Squad. Have them proofread it and send it back to you. And a lot of times, probably 9.5 times out of 10, my response is, thank you. I'll look into that. Um, Look forward to uh, hearing more about this instead of, instead of, right, pulling out the good old scorecard and the whistle. Blow my whistle, red flag. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. And let me prove that you're wrong. And not only am I going to prove that you're wrong, but I'm going to CC our entire leadership on the line, so everybody can see how you just emailed me privately and tried to gaslight me. But I'm going to reply all and put everybody on the CC line and hang you out to dry. There were so many times that I could have done that. And it is one of the hardest thing for me to do, is to not prove you wrong, to not prove you right, to not dominate anybody, to not prove my position, to not flex my job title. And ultimately learning at the end of 2024 that I didn't get the job. Yeah. You know how pissed off I was at God? I was so angry. So angry. Don't you know? Yeah. Don't you know who I am? Don't you know all the work? Don't you know all the things that I have done? Don't you know? Hear the absolute entitlement in that. Did I mention I'm not even supposed to have a federal job? I'm telling you, man. And all of this is water under the bridge already. So nobody can double jeopardy and bring this stuff back up in my life. My record's been expunged only by the grace of God. My record's been expunged. None of this can be used against me. But I swear, I don't know. I swear, when I applied, um, April 2008, I applied. Yeah, I got I was working at the water park, and then I was working city and county lifeguarding for a little while, and somebody had dropped the cookie crumb. You should go apply. You should go apply for federal lifeguarding. And I'm very blessed, very very blessed. God has definitely anointed me before He appointed me, and whoever was in HR, whoever was sitting in that office that day, that stamped and signed my paper and allowed me to go to in processing, orientation, and ultimately become a full-fledged employee after 1 year of probation, where then it becomes an act of Congress to fire me. Um, God bless that person in HR. And today, like, we went segue from the segue. I'll get back to that email and what that whole principle was. But today, part of my living gratitude, yeah, the living thank you to that person is I'm nice to HR. I don't care if HR isn't nice to me. I am nice to HR. I say thank you. Yes, I'll get on that. I'm sorry I missed that deadline. I go personally. I am never not nice to HR, even when I think they are rolling their eyes at me behind the email. Now, are they rolling their eyes at me? Probably. Could be. It's just my assumption. Um, but no matter what, yeah, no matter what, I am nice to HR, because there was a point in my life where someone did a solid for me. So, getting back to that part of ultimately not getting the job and how devastated I was. I was so shattered, you guys, that I I, I didn't realize the depth that I was shattered. And at the end of 2024, inside all of that, uh, cultivating a healthy work environment where we started trusting each other again, where we started having team meetings every other day, where we started having potlucks and we started laughing and we started smiling and we stopped wishing that the building was burnt down. There's a four-way intersection before you take a left where I work. And I tell you what, you guys, for a solid 6 months, the latter half of that almost 1 year of interim branch chief, the latter 6 months, I would stop at that intersection and pray that the building was burnt down, because I couldn't handle another email. I couldn't handle another toxic text. I just couldn't handle anymore. And I was absolutely annihilated when I didn't get the job. Annihilated. And what that taught me, and again, like, I'm sitting in my patio, you guys hear the cars driving by, and then like, it is what it is. What that had taught me was that, one, if I wanted to, and I want to someday, if I want to become my own boss, my own entrepreneur, I need to learn how to serve under somebody else. And when I say that, what I needed to do was to learn to serve under the grace of a loving God, and live in that principle of always take the high road, give generously, know what principle I'm operating from. And I had learned about being humble, and I had learned a huge chunk of humility. Yeah, and again, how I learn about humility is by swallowing the pill of pride. And God helps me to swallow that pill by lubricating my throat with pain. Now, is this person who, was toxic and gaslighting me, is that person a direct reflection of me? Um, that person definitely reflects a version of me um, that is no longer me. There are little tidbits and pieces of that person that still lives inside of me that I am absolutely willing to look and work on today. It is not who I am, right? It is not who I am. I'm not the mother that I thought I was. I'm not the wife that I thought I was. I'm not the employee slash supervisor that I thought I was. And we come back to the golden question, and who am I? Well, there's nothing left. Yeah? After I strip away all of those bad behaviors, all of those maladjustments that come with the title, the label, the judgment, the criticism. I strip away all of that via the mirror, via inventory, via prayer, via being accountable, acknowledging, accepting, nurturing, self esteem, self talk, being nice anyway, spending time with my family, being present at work, being present with my husband. All of those things, strip it all away. What's left? What's left is that woman who is striving to be independent, depending on God. And wouldn't you know, right? And I believe this. I believe that that's what was my original intended purpose in this world. I think that when I realized that I could try and manage and control my life is when I stopped being an independent little girl depending on God. Because again, I had realized that the first God of my misunderstanding was my mom. And if there are words, going back to triggers and trauma, which was episode 11, or was it 12? 12, I think was triggers and trauma. If there are words that I say, and if there are words that you hear from other people that make you squirm in your seat, that make your skin crawl, right? If something I say triggers you, guess what? There's a solution for that. And it's called inventory. I don't have to sit in the trauma anymore. I don't have to sit and live in the bad experience about the experience that I'm having now. I don't have to. And again, going back to what happens when I'm stripped. Yeah. And oh my gosh, we didn't even dig into the fear. Yeah, the fear of what will I become? What will I become if I let go of who I think I am? Yeah, and how that segues into prayer. Yeah, where I ask God. I ask God to please, please God, help me to set aside everything that I think I know about me and who I think I am. My spiritual path, because I choose a spiritual path today. And especially you, God. And I ask for the open mind. Show me. Show me. One, because I'm not that smart. Two, because I've made choices that have led me right here. It has left me alone. It has left me with thoughts of inadequacy. It has left me to question why I'm even still alive. Set aside everything for that open mind and a new experience, right? I want a new experience. I got to decide. I got to decide for a new experience with myself. my experiences in life, that spiritual path that I don't even know about, and especially my relationship with God. And again, if the word God offends you, I highly suggest an inventory. However, for now, yeah, for now, we do our best. Yeah, we do our best. For now, change the word. Maybe it's the ocean. Maybe it's the mountain. Maybe you're sitting outside too, looking at the stars. Open mind and a new experience with that power, whatever that is for you today. Because you know what, sometimes, let me just be real about it. I don't call it God. Yeah. Sometimes for me too, it is the ocean. A lot of times it is the ocean. It is my vessel. It is my way to God. And also, let's just not get anything else twisted. I don't worship the pointing finger. Yeah. I don't worship the thing that is pointing to God. I have that relationship is private. It's very, very personal to me. I might speak about it a lot, um, but I can't even tell you what that is. Again, because I'm not that smart. So, those three um, biggest areas of my life, right? That's where I spend most of my time. Um, there have been direct beneficiaries, of the personal look inside and the personal journey and the wanting to heal in those areas of my life. I mean, the ripple effect of throwing the rock in the pond is phenomenal, right? That the men and women who look to my marriage as a model, they get to see a healthy marriage, right? A healthy marriage where we can agree to disagree. Our main focal point is having God in the center of our home so we can raise our children in a loving and centered and spiritual home. And that goes into my job too. Like I don't go to work and preach about God or anything like that. There's a time and a place for everything. Um, but my mentality at work is forward, right? Let's just keep moving, one foot in front of the other, one email at a time, one phone call at a time, and we keep it positive, and we um we stay together. Yeah, like there's camaraderie and morale at my job, and last but not least, and in my opinion, the most important is uh, the role of being a mother, and that's just it too. Like the role that I was put in this world, one to shoulder the burden of other people. I'm certain of that, but to be these kids' mother, yeah, and to raise them and to lead them in the right direction. Um, I I truly believe today that what was transferred onto me from my mom, um, I really believe that that chain has been broken. And I have been able to lay a lot of that to rest with her because that's where it belongs. It was never mine to begin with. Much like my life and my will and my money and my bank account and the house and the fence and the dog, none of it is mine. And the more I give it away, the more I receive. Crazy, yeah, that kind of divine paradox. Uh, I just get to. I show up every day to the divine appointment. Yeah. Prayer doesn't change my circumstances. Prayer doesn't change the person um, around me. Prayer doesn't change anything. Prayer changes the person who is praying. And so I continue to trust that whatever, whoever I am praying to will continue to do for me what I absolutely cannot do for myself, which is A, move mountains, B, do magic tricks that I never saw coming, 3, love me in spite of me. And there's more, right? We can increase yet again that list at however many pages we can increase it at. Oh, well, I think I'm I'm all talked out tonight. I I am. So, let's call it. Yeah? Once again, if you're just joining us, welcome. Welcome to the Vision Inside, where sometimes I'm absolutely all over the place. And everybody else, Vision Movement, thank you. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for sharing the link with somebody. Thank you for loving me in the broken places that I have a hard time loving myself. And I get to. Yeah. I get to love you too in the broken places that you have a hard time loving yourself. So, what do you say? Yeah. Let's just give each other one more night. This is Delori Gomes, and thank you for listening to The Vision Inside.